My grandpa always used to say, "You'd be a fool not to party with your money in a big way," which now that I'm older makes sense. At least I hope I'm remembering that correctly. But he also said, "Well, that's a good way to sharpen it," when he saw me digging in the ground with one of my knives. So maybe he didn't know what he was talking about. Which brings me to my review of the Spyderco Lil Lionspy, a pocket knife that retails for a mere $419, or that you can find for a reasonable $260 if you're on a tight budget. Now, I'm sure I should mention that there's not a hidden metaphor in cutting butter. Now, you're like, don't you review that gonzo garbage? And the answer is yes, which led me to purchase this blade. So a while back, I reviewed the huge Gonzo G722, which is said to be a clone of the Lionsteel SR1, but it seems to resemble the collaboration between Spyderco and Lionsteel a little more, which is this knife, the Lionspy, because of its G10 on one side and a metal of some sort on the other. So I decided to get the Lil Lionspy because it was a bit cheaper and smaller, so it makes sense for everyday carry. Anyway, let's go over the dimensions while we're at it. And while some of you are thinking, what the hell happened to this channel? And others are like, I like where this is going. You need to note the 4mm spine thickness, which is sort of massive in a blade this size. It's even thicker than the bigger Lionspy clone I reviewed a while back, the Gonzo G722, right? Alright, so what makes this knife so expensive? As far as I can figure, that can be attributed to the country of manufacture, Italy, half of the body being constructed out of titanium, some engineering touches, and the exotic Elmax blade steel. Although to be quite honest, I feel Durex steel is a little bit better for protection. Okay, so the body construction or handle is half G10 and half titanium. It uses a frame lock, or as it originally was known, the Reeve Integral Lock, or the RIL for jerks who make an acronym out of everything. Then behind that you get the titanium roto block, which is a lion steel feature that locks the lock into place, therefore tearing a hole into the lock knife continuum. So you open the blade, the frame lock clicks into place, then you proceed to tear the shit out of your fingernail and turn the little roto block to lock the lock. You're like, is this necessary for, this knife? I'm like, I don't know. Expensive knife lock theory states the roto block is an added failsafe to keep the frame lock from moving during heavy-duty use. Now, you would probably point out, isn't this a 3-inch folding pocket knife that costs $400 made from exotic components? What are you doing, game dressing an elephant? Batoning a rock? Well, I would point out one of those activities seems illegal, and it would take a lot of time. The other is probably not going to happen, except on 1% of YouTube knife review channels. That said, the locking combo seems very stout, so it serves its purpose, which may be adding an expensive patented feature to a knife. But yeah, it's probably the strongest and most reliable lock I've come across on a folding knife. And in case you're wondering, the part of the frame lock that locks the blade looks replaceable and is made from hardened steel and not titanium or butter. Alright, so next up is the blade. It's made from that Elmax stuff, which is said to have a high carbon and chromium content that resists corrosion, holds an edge well, and makes knives cost more. It has a large underbelly, giving it a nice cutting surface, and there's a slight convex grind to the edge, so probably stroping is a good way to maintain the edge on this knife. The little Lionspy comes in this pleatherish velvet-lined case with a zipper, so I guess you can carry it in your purse and keep it nice and pretty. It also has a little tool for changing the clip orientation on the back, depending on what pocket you want to carry it in, or if you're one of those people who just can't leave things be. It also doubles as a pivot adjuster. The knife can only be carried tip up, which most people prefer anyway. But don't worry if you like tip down. Some people are born liking it that way. Okay, so how about ergonomics? While it's not uncomfortable for me, it is on the smaller side of handles I prefer. I like my normal non-fancy boy Endura handle best because it has extra room for my hands. It opens about as fast as my Endura too, actually a little bit faster. You can flick it and you can kind of get it to open with one hand. This isn't a tactical knife though, whatever the hell that means. It's just a plain old $400 pocket knife like your grandpa used to carry. It's a thumb opener and the action is nice and smooth. I can open it and close it with one hand, and no, I'm not trying to show off. I did notice though when I first got it, it was a little stiff to disengage the lock. The spider hole on this one is a bit bigger in diameter than the Endura 4, Although I'm not sure what that means. Okay, so how about that steel? Let's shave some wood with it. Screw it, let's cut through some wood. I'll cut all the way through this piece of wood and see if I can dull the blade. Gotta put that Durex steel to use instead of letting it sit in a drawer, if you know what I mean. Okay, while I'm chopping or just cutting this hard, and since I know how this is going to turn out anyway, because I traveled forward in time, I'll say this. I'm kind of impressed, and I didn't think I would be. I wouldn't have called this the most sharp knife I've ever tested out of the box. It shaved hair, no doubt, but boy did it hold an edge. And I can still shave hair after it.
Sounds kind of gross, huh?
But I'm not done. I'll cut through some men's fashion magazine, and you can take that one as a metaphor if you like. I'll say they do make nice dress shirts. Okay, sorry, this isn't that kind of channel. And then wait for it. I'll split through this piece of wood. You're like, no, man, that'll surely dull the edge. What the hell is this turning into? Especially as long as it's going to take. It's not, easy with a blade this short because it's not suited for it. But I'm determined to dull that steel, or at least try to make sure my arm hair stays intact. Yes, this is awkward, but with the roto block in place, the blade stayed put and it didn't fold. Unlike that gonzo I did this with a few weeks ago. But that was a different lock. Anyway, so after all that, will it still cut through thin paper? Yep, just an easy push cut. And it's still pretty much as sharp as it was earlier. As you can see, no edge rolling, blade chipping, or even real scratches. Not that there should be, but after cleaning the blade, it looked like it hadn't been used. So this knife is kind of the bomb. I can't say if it's really worth the money, but I don't regret it for a second. I'd say if I'd have to put a price on a knife like this, and some people are going to be mad if I say this, maybe $130. I don't know. Maybe I don't really know the value of things. And I'm sure most people would say, this is a collector's item. What the hell are you doing, idiot? Actually, I don't know what I'm doing half the time, to be honest, so there's that. Again, I stress pocket knives are not meant for a lot of this, especially folders, but since this was all CGI or After Effects or some shit, then it doesn't really count, does it? So if you like my special form of YouTube magic, subscribe to my channel, like my video, and leave a comment lecturing me about all the things I shouldn't be teaching other impressionable YouTubers to do this week. And thanks for watching.